I'm here at the Pinnacle on Symphony Place, and it is part of Highwood Properties. There is about 17,000 square feet of actual planted green space and about 28,000 square feet of total green space. The whole space is used for the building occupants' enjoyment and conservation of natural resources. Not only do we get to enjoy this spectacular green roof, but the view from up here is just amazing. We've got the Titan Stadium and all the bridges crossing the Cumberland. And I'm here today with Brian Phelps from Hawkins & Partners. He was one of the designers of the space. So I see all kinds of different plants here, from vines to kind of herbaceous perennials and sedums. So what's this one that I see in masses right here with the thread leaf?
Yeah, this is a Amsonia that we put into the sedum mix that we had here, and to give it a little bit of height on the roof. And so we provided a number of drifts through the sedum mixes.
Yeah, it seems to be doing really well. From the property owners, what were some of the goals and objectives of this space?
First and foremost, it had to be a great space. Second, we wanted to provide for stormwater mitigation and dealing with those, and so this roof absorbs approximately about 67% of the stormwater that falls on it each year, which equates to somewhere around 560,000 gallons of water that we take out of the sewer system. So that was a really important part of not only the lead and the sustainability aspects, that the goals that the owner wanted, but also kind of regulation-wise. I mean, Nashville is now allowing the green roof to be a part of that best management practices for stormwater. So for the civil engineering and the management of all that, you can use the green roof to help reduce the loads on our existing system within the district here.
Yeah.
So that had a really big impact. And then in addition, to provide additional wildlife and habitat within the area, it also reduced the heat island effect as well. And so it had a lot of great contributing factors to that. And then in addition, it has great views from everywhere. So it wanted to provide for the tenants to have something to look out on, instead of whether it was an asphalt roof or even just simply a white roof, that they could have those views out on. I mean, this used to be the parking lot that our office parked in when we were here. So it definitely is a much better space than the parking lot that was here before that was built. So
Sure, it's very neat. So tell me about these towers. There's kind of towers placed around on the space, and they're covered in a vine. Looks like clematis. Is that right?
Well, one of the desires by the owner, they wanted trees on the roof. And so we had, because of the weight of trees, we had to limit the amount of area where they could be, so structurally we could accommodate them, but we still wanted to provide some type of spatial definition that trees help provide. And so we designed these trellises to kind of mimic kind of a height of a small tree, similar to the amelanchier in the larger space. And we ended up growing the autumn clematis on them to provide some interest in the fall. So by the end of August, early September, I mean, these things are covered in snow white blooms. It's been terrific.
So I see a lot of different textures and colors of sedums mixed in here. How many varieties are there?
We planted at the time 17 species of sedum, and now over that time it's definitely evolved, and to where different species have taken over others, and others have died out. So I couldn't tell you exactly how many species are on the roof today. And I think that's one of the interesting parts about the sedum aspect of this, is that we had these patterns all designed in different mixes, and then seeing as they bloom and the seeding and all that, like seeing it all change has been really interesting. And in fact, we got a lot of migrant type plants that have come up to the roof, and it's the management of the the weeding of that, and the natural selection of things that actually look good. And we have some kind of the wild strawberries up here and that sort of thing that we didn't expect.
Cool. How long has this been here?
We completed the project in August 2009.
Cool. So it's really had time to come and go, and we've had that tough winter that may have killed out some of the sedums. So it's really
it has actually performed really well in the winter time. I mean, the sedum is really well suited for the rooftop environment.
Was there any special consideration you had to do in dealing with the soil?
Well, when you're on a green roof, you do have to take the soils into consideration, which we call it the planting media, because we don't want to confuse it with what soils, like topsoils down on the ground.
Okay.
And part of that is weight.
Sure.
And also dealing with the sediment and the fines within that, that you're going to clog up your drainage mat that's underneath all of this that you have to have. And also there's an inorganic content to it to provide a structure, and that you don't get a lot of the decomposition and loss of it that you may experience over time.
So in these raised beds, the plant material looks a little different. So what do we have over here? It looks like Itea.
Yes, and some butterfly weed and liriope. The areas around the gathering areas are, when the raised planters, allowing us to have between 12 and 24 inches of additional soil, or the planting media, that we were able to grow more sophisticated like plants, such as the Nepeta here and the Amelanker. I mean, here where I have the depths for where we actually put some small trees and some of the hollies that you see here. But it also, part of this was to provide a little bit more comfortable, familiar planting than the sedum areas, and to define the space more. But it also, with being Pinnacle at Symphony Place and being across the street, is bringing in a lot of the plant material that you see down below that the user kind of sees when they're around.
This does feel kind of like a courtyard space you would see typically on the street.
Yes. The space relates to the building's strong symmetry and axis that was created with that. You do see a lot of the kind of the same plant material repeated around to emphasize that.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it is a garden, and it's still growing and dying and, changing and evolving through the seasons. So,
it can be one of the frustrations with landscape architecture is that the day it goes in when it's architecture, it kind of looks the way you intended, but you really have to be patient, and there's always the microclimates and the different conditions that have happened, and just the maintenance of a landscape, and it's it's a living thing, so it's just one of those things we deal with as landscape architects. So
well, I really appreciate you showing us this space up here. It's really a gem in Nashville. So
we appreciate it. Thank you.
For inspiring garden tours, growing tips, and garden projects, visit our website at volunteergardener.org or on YouTube at the Volunteer Gardener channel, and like us on Facebook.